Welcome to Hoops and Hops, an offshoot of Barley and Me podcast. This is a podcast where me, Ben Rice, the host of the Barley and Me podcast, teams up with local chef Phil Webster.
Hello there.
To talk about beer and basketball. We're going to compare players to beers, teams to breweries. We're going to break down the NBA offseason, project what's going to happen in the 2021, or what is this, 2020, 2021 season?
Yeah.
2020,
Easy
season,
for you to say.
2020, 2021 season. Who says it that way?
Nobody.
It's the 2021 season, which is hyphenated, but not 2021 season. All right, it's not confusing. We're going to talk about it. Things have happened. It's been a while. We're branching off. We're kicking Barley Me to the curb. We're going to take Hoops and Hops. We're going to go forward with it on its own. It's going to be great.
Yeah.
Phil,
I think so.
We've meant to do an episode for since the finals. And fortunately, with the shutdown, the time from the finals to now is not that long. So we weren't really that bad.
It really wasn't. There's been like a month I think we've missed.
Yeah.
But a lot has happened. And I'm glad we could get back to it despite all of everything COVID trying to shut us down.
Yeah. How do you feel about the condensed off season? You get your draft, you get your free agency, you get your trades all within like 3 weeks. It's madness.
I mean, selfishly, it's fantastic. For the players, I'm sure it is not. But for what it's worth in entertainment, it can't get much better.
Of course, since this is a beer and basketball podcast, we are drinking a beer today.
Yes, we are.
We got a Bike Dog Burn Your Idols Double Hazy IPA coming in at 8%. And I think this is the perfect beer for this episode because with the condensed offseason and the madness that's happened, it's basically burning your idols. Like everything's a wreck.
Yes. Anything goes. Just like anything like with COVID right now, the NBA is such. It's very hectic. You wouldn't be surprised if everybody got injured, and you wouldn't be surprised if nobody. It's just be that kind of craziness.
Yeah, the trades are out of control. Like free agency's out of control. Draft picks. It's an insane. Nobody is where they were before. Everyone's life is in upheaval. You thought was
people
true.
Who we thought were going to win the whole championship are maybe not even contenders now. It's just it's crazy. It's crazy off season, and no bubble this year, so it's going to get even more nuts.
There's no bubble this year. I didn't actually check that. There should be a bubble. I think it would be great to see all the teams in a bubble, forced away from their families, just fighting for desperation. Like if you don't, like every week they eliminate one team. Just you didn't win a game this week, you're out. And
that would be a quicker season. I don't know if they would be bad about that.
Last team to win a game gets out.
Yeah, that would be a good episode. I think, I mean, you could break that down. You could pre-do it, and nobody knows what happens. Like, I love it.
But I just we were not fans of the bubble initially. It seemed like it would be stupid, but it ended up being a lot of fun to watch. I don't know.
It was incredibly competitive. And yeah, I thought it was going to be an absolute disaster, especially based on our government and how everybody else has been handling this thing. But the NBA got it right. They got it tenfold right.
100% right. Nobody went out after they'd all quarantined. Nobody came up with a case. Like it worked. Yeah. It's as if sheltering in place, doing minimal contact works.
Everybody wear masks when they go in and out, and you quarantine if you do go out. That's insane.
Yeah, stay until you're negative for like 7 days or 10 days or whatever it was.
Yeah. Now they had the testing, which also helps. Yeah. But that they did an incredible job. Obviously, baseball had its hiccups. Football is continuing to have hiccups, if not more. So NBA, hats off, man. They did it. I know that was tough on the players and everybody to be quarantined like that, but they did it, and it was incredibly competitive, incredibly entertaining. And hats off to the Lakers for pulling it out. Yeah. I think I had that. I think we were both had them in at least the Western Conference Finals. Yep. Good for LeBron, number 4, still Pliny the Elder. not to find any younger, but he's getting closer. He is definitely getting closer. He'll always be in the conversation now. There's no doubt about that.
Yep, 3 teams he's won championships with.
Yeah, insane.
You can't take that away.
No, you cannot.
Although, obviously, the people that win all their championships with one team, you can't take that away either. So.
No, you can't. The road for Jordan was so picturesque. That's why it's the storyline.
Yeah.
It's how it worked.
Took
like
his failing team, took his lumps, learned to get better against the best. Like, he took his lumps against the Celtics, the Pistons, and then he finally got over, and he couldn't be stopped. Yeah.
Yeah, you can't make it like it's not like Robert Horry has more championships, right? But it's not the championships alone. It's like it's how it's done. That's why it's hard to compare the two. LeBron's great. LeBron's the greatest in his era. Like, no question about it. Like, he is, especially with the pressure he had.
Yeah. And he also, took a team that didn't have a great history and built them into champion. It took him a second try. That's probably one of the problems. He had to learn somewhere else. But yeah, it's crazy. So I wanted to do a quick point out that on previous episodes of Hoops and Hops, we discussed who we thought would be in the finals, and to us, in the East, it was the Milwaukee Bucks. Not a problem.
Not a problem.
Nobody saw this Heat team coming.
No.
And the Heat, they went into the finals injured. And as a, what were they, 7th seed? 8th seed?
Yeah, 7th seed, I think. 7th or 6th. No iron.
And got to the finals injured. It still took a game. That's mad.
It is insane. No, their effort was outrageous. With Butler turned out to be we talked about him before.
Yeah.
But that guy showed me something, and it shows what happens when he got to be the leader of a team. I mean, he had a chance, right? He was with Minnesota. Yeah. He got put with the Sixers, but he didn't get to be the true leader. So he's had better talent.
Yeah, always someone coming at the king nonstop.
Yeah,
Game of Thrones style.
But no, that guy has got mad respect for me. He's definitely going to be somebody. If he gets 1 or 2 more pieces and a little luck, he's going to win one. He's definitely going to win one.
Yeah, and we'll just toot our own horn here. Well, we didn't pick them to get to the finals. I think in our minds we knew how good they were because on our last episode we broke down 3 different Heat players and what kind of beers they would be. So it seems like we knew in our souls.
Yeah, secretly we thought no.
You can't say that in public. The Heat in the finals? No, that's not what happened. We just happened to admire some players because we love scrappers. That's what it is. I love a scrappy player. And Jimmy Butler, Iggy, Bam,
Ugly.
Goran,
they get it done.
Yeah, they get the work done. That's really what it is.
Especially us being, you're a Sonic fan and I'm a Kings fan, so we don't win pretty, really. Nowadays especially.
Yeah, oh boy.
So it's nice. It's nice to see how people are doing it nowadays, and mad respect to the Heat.
Yeah. So I think there we go. We've talked about it. The Lakers win. Good job, everybody. It was a good series to watch. Honestly, I enjoyed watching that series. And then we hit off season. We get the NBA draft. We got some trades. We got some hoopla over some trades. We had a killer trade to get Bogdan over to Milwaukee. That did not happen.
Did not. It was. I was very sad, but I felt like it was the right move by Milwaukee. That was going to set them up big time, and they were going to get to keep Giannis for sure. And it falls through from whatever reason, tampering, Bogdan not wanting to go there. Who knows? They still haven't let it out. I'm sure there will be a book out soon.
It had to have been a safe face tampering thing. There's no way Bogdan's I don't want to play. I want to be wide open for all these threes. Drew Holiday and Giannis take it to the basket.
Oh, they would have been definitely a dark horse. Yeah, they would have been a top 3 team in the East, if not.
Nobody wants to go to a team that's already supposed to be a championship favorite, and then have them neutralize all your negatives and lift up all your positives. Nobody wants and give you money.
Yeah, and you would have got paid. Yeah, I mean, it seemed like it was such a done deal. Like, I mean, they brought it out early, but I feel like, now that we've listened to a couple of conspiracy theory podcasts about things, it wouldn't put it out of my mind that somebody leaked that to make it not happen. Like, in a way.
Well, that's the crazy thing. They're like, I think it's tampering because we all knew about it before the trade was even open. You couldn't even discuss things with players yet. But it wasn't the only trade announced. All these, Chris Paul's trade was announced. Like, all these trades, like the tampering time frame is bullshit. Like, everybody knows these teams are talking. Everybody knows these agents are talking. Just admit it and be okay.
It just seemed like a Kings thing. Like, it seemed like the Kings were getting screwed out of something else. Like, it's like without them even really doing anything, like they just somehow bogged it up. Like, without a lack of a better term.
Like, what rational human being is like, it's the start of free agency at noon today, and there's a signing at 12:02 because those guys in 2 minutes came down. They nailed down this contract.
Sure.
Like,
I
got all the details, loved it, signed it, got it approved by the league. All that 2 minutes. That's not how it works. They're definitely talking beforehand. And
definitely. And players are allowed to talk to other players, so it's like they're just not supposed to be talking to agents, supposedly. Which again. And you act like all you're doing is setting up rules to be broken. Like everybody's talking to everybody. They're, especially in this kind of time frame where they had to start the season so soon. You know that they were already trying to make deals happen. They have to. But of course, like, that's just how it worked out. And then he ends up on the Atlanta Hawks. Now that's interesting, but obviously it's not a.
They have enough fit. Wings. They just go into another situation where there's too many people where he's at. It's such a weird turn of events. And it's like the Hawks seem to be building a certain thing, and then this offseason just went against everything that they were building.
So. They just got a whole bunch of guys who can shoot threes.
No
but
defense.
Then there's one basketball. And who am I thinking of on the team? He's gonna Trey. I don't know how much. Yeah, Trey Young. He's got to now give up more shots. He's a volume shooter. He's not the greatest shooter. I would assume he's like a really short. Russell Westbrook. He can shoot a little bit, but he's a volume shooter. He doesn't have a great percentage, but he's exciting. We'll just kind of see what he does in his next year. Like, what is this, year 3 now?
Yeah, year 3.
So he's got to make a jump. But I don't think he went to a better situation. I think he went to basically the same situation on the East Coast.
Yeah,
like you have a really dynamic point guard and nothing else.
Yeah, and they're going to just be a sieve on defense. There's nobody to stop anybody anywhere on that floor now. And the Hawks have always been a very defensive-minded team over the years. And it's whatever. They've made mistakes. So many mistakes this offseason. Who's given $120 million to people who can barely walk? Oh,
my God. That move by the Hornet. Well, I mean, we haven't even gotten to that. But, the move by Michael Jordan, I mean, just continue as a GM, owner, president, disaster. Like, who gives a guy $120 million that hasn't had a good leg, like has a broken leg? Like, it's just insane to me. But he had LaMelo. I don't blame him for getting him. Like, you need an attention getter. You're the Hornets. Nobody cares. So now you're going to get like primetime TV spots for your team to get trounced by Boston by 20 points, but at least you'll be on national TV.
I mean, let's say this. If Gordon Hayward was a beer, since it's part of the podcast structure.
Wow.
So we're talking about a guy who was a college legend, had his heart broken. His team comes back and gets the championship again without him in the NCAA. Missing that heartbreaking 3. Then he becomes an NBA player, plays for the Utah Jazz, where nobody cares about basketball. Well, I guess the Utah Jazz people care about basketball.
They did, Utah cares.
But nobody outside of Utah cares about your team. And builds an all-star career out of that. Goes to Boston, game 1, destroys his leg forever.
Yeah. He went, he's a prodigal son. He had so much pressure to be Larry Bird. and then you have a compound fracture on the first game, and and then they happen to have a really good draft and have two small forwards that are fantastic. Yeah. So you'll never get any playing time. So
I know what I'm going to call them. Do you know what you're going to call Gordon Hayward for a beer? I've got mine. Okay, I'm going to call Gordon Hayward a Racer 5. He's a really good IPA. Super tasty, get you what you need to win some ball games, and then things happen in the beer industry. You get passed by, and at this point, their access to ingredients got reduced, so they had to stop making beer for a while, and then they had to come back and try to reestablish themselves in an entirely new craft beer world. And it's still a beer you should go drink and check out.
Yeah, Bear Republic is a great brewery too. Like they have a lot of fun up there in Ellsberg.
Yeah, and that brewery, their bar food is elevated. It's bar food, but it's so good.
It's really good,
and it's kind of expensive. Maybe a little more.
Yeah, it's the area is a lot more expensive than I thought. Once I saw where it was, I was like, oh wow, these are ritzy people out there.
Yeah, like a Michael Jordan. So this fits. There we go. Gordon Hayward, Racer 5. There's worse things you could be.
That is true. God, where would I put him? Yeah, I probably put him I would say in those bomber days. He would be a Lagunitas Hop Stupid or a.
I like that. That's a one-dimensional beer. That fits.
Yeah, it's they were just when you wanted that beer, that was you were drinking a man beer. You were drinking an arrogant bastard. You're drinking he's in that realm.
I love your Eye of the Hawk one because it kept almost coming back. Back. He's almost back to where he was, and then something would happen, and the brewery would go under again. A new ownership would come in, okay, we're building it, and it would fail, and it's just over and over again.
Yes, and the label was just so 80s. Everything was really bad about that. It just they never rebranded it. They never tried to make it something. It was just and then Racer 5 just kind of took over, and then they were basically the same beer, but nobody would tell you that they had drinking Eye of the Hawk anymore. Yeah. And so, I would say, he's in that realm for me. He's definitely a really old school hoppy IPA.
Yeah. And as a person who's in a championship game or championship favorite that fails just barely, for me, my experience with Eye of the Hawk was I always had a great time drinking it. But the next day, I was like, oh, I should not have done that. I feel really bad today.
Yes.
Which is your team's about to win the championship. There's 3 rims out. It's oh, God. So Eye of the Hawk, great choice for a Gordon Hayward beer. Also, buying that brewery right now, probably kind of expensive. And you're I don't know.
Yes.
Really
Yes.
What I want to do. I think the guy that owned it last is in jail now. Anyway. It's for financial fraud.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, he probably made more than one bad decision before trying to buy that beer, that brewery. Yes. And so with all the free agency, now we got Russell Westbrook. We're trading apples for apples in a way with Houston.
Trading apples for crab apples, if you ask me.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's funny how people are trying to spin it that Houston won this trade.
I can't see how they did. I don't know how they did, unless really Wall was just baiting for a year that he wasn't going to play because he just didn't want to play with Beal. No.
But I don't think he was healthy, man. I don't think he was healthy.
Yeah, unless John Wall was baiting you for 7 years and pretending he couldn't shoot. This doesn't make any sense. He's a ball-dominant guard. He holds the ball longer than anybody. He held the ball longer than anybody.
Even more than Westbrook.
More than James Harden, who is a world upon himself on that offense. And you're now going to put 2 of those guys? What is it?
Besides the money being right, I don't know why you make that trade.
Yeah.
I get we were talking about Knicks, I think off podcast I thought was a spot for him. But the Knicks didn't have the assets to trade to make it work, money wise.
Now, are you saying Knicks for Westbrook or Knicks for Wall?
I would say Knicks for Westbrook.
Okay.
I don't think there's any way Wall gets moved if it's not for Westbrook. Yeah. I think Washington wins this. I think Washington's going to be a top 3 or 4 team.
Yeah.
I mean, again, they're not going to be great.
Like,
they're going to be the same.
Bradley Beal was a really good second player.
Yes.
He's done it his whole career until John Wall got injured. And now you're putting with an actual offensive first player. John Wall was a first player, but he wasn't a good offensive player.
No.
Westbrook is a fantastic offensive player.
I just feel like they're both the same. You're still trading the both same player. Like, you're not getting somebody to help Beal. Like, they're just, they're alternative. Like, it's like, you want him if he's off. Like, you want Westbrook to come off the bench. That'd be great. Like, same time.
Westbrook has led the league in assists. He's gotten average triple-doubles for 3 years. But he doesn't make you better. But he also doesn't make you worse. That's what I think.
Right. He will,
he won't elevate you.
I kind of thought, like, it would have been great for the Kings to somehow pull something off with Buddy Hield and make that happen. But then I was like, do I want to be a 6 or 7 seed?
Yeah. Like,
in the playoffs just to get spanked by Clippers or Lakers? No, not really.
Yeah.
Like, no.
But,
I don't.
Like, Bradley Beal has been a second option. Kevin Durant has played with Russell Westbrook, and that worked out really well for several years until they got tired of each other, or one got tired of the other. Whatever the case is, and then one got hurt and in his feelings and decided to destroy worlds for a couple of years, but only individually. But Westbrook he's not a dynamic passer, but he gets you the ball where it needs to be. You've played basketball. I've played basketball. You know a bad pass fucks up your shot.
Yes.
It fucks up your shot. Westbrook doesn't give you bad passes. He doesn't give you great passes. He puts it in your pocket. You do with it what you were going to do with it.
It's true. Now, my thing with Westbrook is, what's his ideal player? Like, in my head, who would I put together with him where I'd be like, okay, now he's going to have a real shot at winning a championship because of the style that he plays with wreck and abandonment, needing to have the ball. He does pass, but he also takes terrible shots. He's a terrible 3-point shooter, and he refuses to think that he is. And at the rate that he shoots, and like, so who could you, like, if he was with Anthony Davis, does he win? Like, I don't know. Like, I don't know if that's enough to keep, like, to make him a champion. Like,
I think he needs a wing player who can go inside, and I think that's Bradley Beal. I think he needs a decent 2 or 3 that can get in there, and then just a good screen setter. I think they have a lot of shooting. We'll see what happens, but I think it's not going to be as bad as people think, and I think Houston's going to be worse than people think.
Oh, Houston's going to be they're going to definitely fall off, but they'll be a 5-6 seed. They'll be in the middle.
Yeah, I mean, they're not going to be bad. They're not going to be great.
What do we think Westbrook is as a beer? I know we did Harden.
Yeah.
What would you? I think I have one.
I think we talked about it earlier because we were discussing if you're a Harden fan and a Westbrook fan, you think one of these people is this thing. We said milkshake IPAs. IPAs. Like, it's nice because it fits because people hate them or they love them, and there's no in between. And
there isn't.
And some people think that
they don't go with anything.
Yeah, they don't. You can't pair them. It's a mess of things. It doesn't make any sense.
They sell tickets.
Yep.
They'll get you there. People will buy them, but they're not.
They're not a championship ring.
No. It's like your 6th, 7th best beer. That's not. No.
But there's some people who swear it's the best. This is the top of the line.
Yes.
Best thing you.
They were like, this is an IPA I can drink, and I'd be like, that is not an IPA.
That's an IPA I would like to get rid of. Can I trade this for beer with equal value? It's really hard to. It's really hard to get equal value back on this milkshake IPA.
Unless you trade it for another milkshake IPA.
They're like, I didn't want a milkshake IPA. That's why I traded the milkshake IPA. Now it's
here's a strawberry banana one for a coconut and pineapple. Like, I don't want either of these. Get away.
Yeah. Oh my God.
So that was where we're clumping Wall, Harden.
Yeah. If you could redo this trade and send these players anywhere in the NBA that makes sense financially for both teams, but not necessarily match, where would you send John Wall? Where would he have gone?
Good Lord, who needs a point guard? Lakers, maybe. Like, I feel like they could absorb how bad he is. He could give LeBron what he needed, maybe, so he could rest a little bit more. But but you don't have to worry about playing him as a starter. Like, you could put him off the bench and then he could just have his own time with AD. So LeBron could get some rest. He can take the second team and lead them for a little while. Other than that, they would have to be an established top 4 or 5 team. I couldn't see Wall on anything else.
Yeah, and I like it because it gives them time to run around, set their picks, get everybody open because he's got 5 seconds to dribble the ball for no reason. And then great, we've gotten open in that amount of time. Let's do this. Let's get into the offense.
Yes, he just wants to do an and one mixtape basically in the second half. So you give him the last 5 minutes of each quarter.
I feel bad. I would trade him to the Knicks. I would.
Oh God.
Be like, prove it. Prove that you're a star.
He couldn't in Washington. I mean, they got to the playoffs. They did get to he's gotten to the playoffs twice, I think, with them. But he clearly, him and Beal did not coexist. They're A1, AB, and they're not they're the same personality. Clearly, once Wall was gone, Beal took over. He's clearly a better player than even I thought he was. Yeah. I thought he was a complimentary shooting guard, but he's as close to Klay Thompson as you can be. That guy can play defense. He can shoot. That guy he's a star. If he had a Curry or something like that, or a really good coach, they're going to be pretty good. And he's in the East, so we'll kind of see what happens with them. Like I said, I feel like they'll be in the middle of the road, and hopefully Bill will get some attention. But Wall is really bad.
And I feel bad. I'm just put him on the Knicks and see what he does, because I think they have the money. They always love a star point guard. He'll bring in people, and maybe he has learned. Maybe he's become a better player. Maybe he's more of a teammate. Maybe he's not as ball possessive.
That's what I'm hoping.
And they can maximize their youth.
Maybe Houston got the steal that we don't know about, right? Maybe they're the Miami Heat, and we're thinking dude, there's no way this works.
And for John Wall, it's a lose-lose. If they go bad, they blame John Wall. And if they do good, they're like, well, John Wall was there.
Right, exactly. I mean, either way, he was really expensive, but it's like you said, crab apples at least. It's not great. It's not a great, Daryl Morey wouldn't made this trade.
Yeah, no. And
that's why you got rid of him. Basically, probably. Yeah. And so we'll see. We'll see, but I don't know. It seems like it's all bad, and it was just a way to take $120 million and flush it down the toilet.
And now I'm going to blow up the NBA's mind right now. My trade for Russell Westbrook from the Rockets to Detroit for Blake Griffin. You want damaged goods in return? Take Blake Griffin. He's going to give you inside presence. He's going to give you 3-point stroke. He's going to give you defense. He's going to give you rebounding. He gives the Rockets everything that they need. The only risk is maybe he gets hurt again or he doesn't recover properly. But you're already taking that risk with John Wall, and he doesn't do anything to help you. Plus, Detroit has nothing but forwards and centers. They have no point guard. Bring Russ in there to throw lobs and hammer it home. That team's fun. They probably don't win, but it's the East also, so they might win.
It's true. It's true.
And there's a little bit of salary issues where you got somebody else with Blake, which is even more of a win for the Rockets. So that would have changed 2 teams. Yes. That would have turned them around. You want an all 5 out Houston Rockets team? Put Blake Griffin on the team.
Oh, interesting.
You done?
I thought on top of that, they don't really have anybody to give back besides picks. I feel like, but I thought about the Rockets trading with the Pelicans.
Okay,
giving Russell Westbrook, that young nucleus, and maybe if he's playing the off guard, to Lonzo Ball.
Yeah, okay. So you're getting rid of, what's his face? The other guy. Former Lakers guy. Brandon. Whatever.
Yeah, Ingram. Yeah, I'm giving them Ingram. And they just signed him, I think.
Yeah, I think he's at a max contract, so.
So I was like, you trade Ingram, you give, you got a guy who can score on his own, quite quickly, right? And and then you also have that young nucleus. So maybe
I like that.
There's enough ball to go around. Maybe it makes the Pelicans more interesting. There's no way they're going to win, like presently constructed. And I don't care how young they are. Like they need a veteran leader.
Well,
and
they got one.
They don't have one.
They got one. But I love that trade. That's a really good trade. It works for both teams because Brandon Ingram is a quick fire shooter. So when Harden's on the bench, he goes nuts, but he's also good off the ball. He's dependable on the setup shot. So I like that trade a lot, honestly.
Stan Van Gundy's now their coach. Like, I feel like he's a great coach. He does want to coach young guys, but I feel like, if he can get him,
I think he does. I think he likes him because he can instill his defensive tendencies.
Yes.
He's like, I want you guys to play defense. You can't do that with people who have not been playing defense for 6-7 years. You got to get them when they're young.
That's true. I don't know. I don't know. But I feel like they could have handled Westbrook. Other than that, I would not send Wall there, obviously, or anybody else. But that would have been my dream little scenario for the Pelicans.
That's killer. And speaking of, you said no veteran leadership. They traded for Steven Adams. I think that's an underrated move.
True.
That dude's
I do think it's an underrated move. I feel like he's playing the same. I think he's going to take doubles away from
Zion.
Why am I losing? Zion, yes.
Yeah.
I feel like he's going to take doubles away from Zion. But great guy. I wanted the Kings to get him. Yeah. Like, I was really, really hoping the Kings would have put something together to get him. I'm really sad that they didn't. That dude can ball, and he's not afraid of anybody.
Not afraid of anybody.
Crazy.
Sets picks like a steel wall.
Yes.
Underrated passer. He is a phenomenal passer from the high post, and also a little flip shot behind him if you're cutting to the basket. And his flip shot, I don't know if you've seen him up close to the basket, non-dunks. His flip shot, legit. He's got a good inside game.
Who had the better trade? I mean, the better drafting, like in the last 7, 8 years. Oklahoma City Thunder, like the people that they drafted, like they get Durant. They get Westbrook.
Those were both Sonics picks.
Yeah, Harden. Yeah, technically, yes. But they had Harden.
Yeah.
You have,
they're always panned. Their picks are always panned. But they had a lot of people fall through. Perry Jones III, as a Thunder fan, Alex Abrinas, Lamb they got for what's his face, Harden, but they picked somebody else right after that. They haven't really done that spectacular. Serge Ibaka also, don't forget Serge Ibaka.
Yeah, Serge Ibaka.
They're good at picking up in the late rounds, getting players that are usable in the league. But for a while, they were drafting stars.
Well, I mean, I would say the same thing about the Spurs, right? The Spurs wouldn't get necessarily star power, but they would get people who fit whatever they were doing.
Very good. They pick players that will fall into their roles.
Right, knowing that they were going to pick in the late round, getting in the 20th pick or something like that, they would always get the rough.
And now they have 743 first-round picks over the next 4 years, so what the team looks like in the future, who even knows?
Who knows? As a begrudged Oklahoma City Thunder fan.
Yeah. We had some other big trades come up, right? We've got Chris Paul to the Suns, pairing with Devin Booker.
Yes, very strange, but
I've already forgotten who the Thunder got back in that trade. I don't even know who came back. I think it was a third team. I don't even
know. It's tears in a draft pick, I think. Something like that, ham sandwich. Yeah. I think they just got out of the money.
Yeah.
I think that's what they wanted.
Yeah.
The Suns could take the money. But I feel like the Suns why did you want to be the Oklahoma City Thunder? They're going to be the younger version. You have a great, Devin Booker's great. I think he was on his way there without Paul. I again think you're stuck with a guy for 3 years for also monstrous contract. It seems, it doesn't seem like a good trade. I seem like it was like a trade to just trade.
Yeah, it seemed like we'll get that veteran leadership, and also this guy's a closer, so his close game losses we're having maybe won't happen, and we'll put less pressure on Devin Booker to be the be-all, end-all of this team. But the team that's assembled is not particularly great, still. So
no, they're a good young team, but they would have.
I wouldn't put them above.
I think they would have been that with or without.
I wouldn't even with Chris Paul. I'm not putting him above the Pelicans. I'm not putting him above Memphis. As far as the young teams that are, maybe above the Hawks, maybe.
Yes, young teams, yes. At best, if I don't like, maybe I probably put them ahead of the Kings, like, but they're still ninth. Yeah. Ninth, eighth. Ninth, like, 10th, you want to be that. Like, I don't know. Do you want to face the Lakers in the first round? Like, in just first round sweep? I don't know. Like, I guess maybe that's a goal.
Playoff fodder. I mean, you got to start somewhere. You got to start somewhere, and
it's true. I just don't know how Paul elevates you. Like, he's the one piece you want to take on the side, but he's so expensive, nobody can take him now.
Yeah.
Like, but maybe they're planning on trading him later. Who knows?
I think there's like, maybe people will learn from him. They'll learn how to, get into the gym, how to play defense, how to work on defense, how to like just the
Booker seems legit. Like, he's up there with Donovan Mitchell, in my opinion. Yeah. Obviously more highly touted, but like a student of the game. He cares a lot. He works incredibly hard.
Yeah.
I think, obviously, it just shows you in the game, like, what it takes to be, like, a really good winner.
I think what happens here is Chris Paul is there to teach them the small things, the little things you don't know until years of experience, because he's got one of the highest basketball IQs we've ever seen. Chris Paul.
Yeah. He's incredibly underrated.
I feel like incredibly underrated. Maybe he becomes a player coach. As a contract pays out, like, we'll roll this money into coaching for you. You're kind of setting yourself up with these guys so they know you, they trust you, then we move you into a leadership position. Maybe. I don't know. It never happens, but maybe it'll happen. Not every great player makes a great coach. That's 100% true. Michael Jordan makes a terrible GM, but he's the greatest player of all time.
Well, that's true, yes. Exactly. Nobody will be able to take that away from him. Nobody cares what you do with your own money. All I know is you're really bad with it, but you were an incredible basketball player. Like, and your journey was epic and a story that, again, will never be relived. 2 3-peats, like, the list goes on and on. Like, that guy was amazing. Amazing. So what, top 5? So you want to start, like, by top 5 teams? Like, did you think, like, to watch out for, in your opinion, East or West?
Oh, man. Teams to watch out for. The Miami Heat. Turns out pretty good.
They're pretty good.
Pretty good. And now they're going to have another full season together. They got some new additions. I think they make a run again. I'm just going to call it now, and then I'll eat my words later. But on the East, it's the same guys. There's just all this movement means nothing. Like, are the Nets going to be good this year?
Probably.
It's Durant and Irving and a poo-poo platter of players that have
that were good
talents.
When they didn't have to play with those guys. It's like, it's different when you don't get the ball as much. You only get 5 shots a game.
Yeah, and they're overlapping talents, so it's like you all do the same thing. So how do we even do we just play the hot hand, and then how do you determine the hot hand? How much rope do you give them? I don't know. I don't know if they're actually a good team, but nobody knows because they haven't played.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens.
Durant hasn't played in probably 18 months or so. Yeah, something like that.
Year and 5 months or whatever it is. Yeah, 6 months. Yeah, it's a year and a half.
Yeah.
And with a debilitating injury that a lot of people don't come back from. So he's going to be a different guy. But he also was moving into that old man game anyway. He'd already been making that transition to like playing power forward, getting his butt in there.
Yes. Yeah, he seemed like playing more defense, kind of waiting for the ball. But again, that's on a Warriors team that like moves the ball around where you're going to get 20 shots, 20, even with all the guys you have, because you're going to shoot an absorbent amount of shots a game. You're going to shoot like,
because the offense was so beautiful that you were going to get your shot. You're going
to 20 shots is like going to be 20 of the best shots you've ever taken. Because everybody can shoot on that team besides Draymond Green.
Yeah.
That guy's terrible. He had one good year.
And then 19% or whatever for the rest of his life.
Oh my God, he's so bad. He has regressed terribly. He took his money and ran.
Yeah. But the East is always tough. It's like the Celtics. It's
Bucks. I think it's top 4 probably. Yeah,
76ers, what are they this year? I don't know what the 76ers are this year either. It seems like
I mean, they got Doc Rivers. They got a coach maybe who can lead them. Maybe not. Maybe show them something that they haven't. Like, you can't do it on talent alone. I mean, we talked about that too in previous podcasts, like what Phil Jackson meant to Jordan and top of
that's true.
everything else. Like you need leadership, and so hopefully I think he can bring some.
Yeah.
But are they top four? Maybe.
Yeah, he has that gravitas that people like. Because you felt like the players could overtalk Brett Brown, like that they could go to management and they're like, "Hey, Brett Brown's fucking up," and they're like, "All right, we agree with you, not Brett Brown." I don't think they can do that with Doc Rivers, so that might help, I guess.
Yeah, he still can carry around that Celtic championship for a little. It still has gravitas.
I turned around the Clippers. We didn't win a championship, but they were also the worst team in the league for 30 years before I showed up.
That is also
I'm
true.
Doc Rivers. Yeah,
exactly. I got Chris Paul to us because David Stern wouldn't let him go to Lakers.
Which let's just talk about that tampering. NBA always in on it. Bogdan, I think that was a real trend. They just they're like, "Hey, don't do that." And you're like, "Okay." They're like, "This is unfair for the league. You can't put this shooter over there for nobody."
Who does that? Like that? I mean, it seemed mighty suspicious to me. Like all of those things on top of many times trades didn't go through that we thought. But I think the Chris Paul trade that didn't happen until LA would go up there because just nothing was like that before. Where we were always complaining about how Lakers always got the stars. They always traded for Gasol for a bag of beans and Kwame Brown. Yeah. Like when you get the best player ever.
Gasol. It just happened. Marc Gasol turned out to be good.
Oh yeah, yes, and of course he was good too. Yeah, but how long did it take? It took him like 3 years. So it's like it's just amazing. But yeah, for that to not happen, like David Stern to be like, okay, that's enough from you, Lakers. We need to calm it down.
Well, I think
because Kobe maybe gets one more. He maybe gets one more with a Paul trade.
Yeah.
Who knows? He doesn't tear his Achilles.
It is weird that they did it with LA because it seems like a lot of times, get these big market teams the players they need because they're our marquee teams. But I think what was happening was the Lakers were already recently the Lakers were already recently successful. They're like, we don't need this right now. 2 years later, they're like, give him Chris Paul.
Yeah, exactly. Now we'll give him a 38-year-old Chris Paul.
So now I think it's very possibly we're doing this for the good of the league. The Milwaukee Bucks cannot get one of the best three-point shooters in the league on a team that already is destroying everybody offensively. We can't allow that. What are you trading? Your eighth man? No.
Yeah, no, but that was okay before. Not now. It was the Memphis Grizzlies, and it just so happened Jerry West was the GM, and all of those things. There's no way that happens other than that, but that just it shows what matters in the league. Stars matter.
And we've been talking the last couple of days about this whistleblower podcast,
dude.
About
incredible podcast. Yes, it just opens up the door to so many things. It's a very intelligent podcast. I love that podcast, and I think you did too. So
I love listening to Tim Donaghy talk because when you watch him referee a game, you're like, oh, that's just
he's a dweeb,
but he's like he's a
mob guy.
He's a mob guy.
Sounds amazing.
He's like, oh, we got connected with the mob. How'd you do that? Oh, I was living in a mob town the entire time. We all are mob. Everybody here's mob.
Yeah, the New York accent, the gritty. It's amazing.
Yeah, and
it's so good.
And it is the way that you could cheat the game is just, hey, call fouls that are fouls that we normally wouldn't call, but they are fouls that we leave alone. It's like, in NFL, you could call holding on every play. It would be a dick move, but you could do it. And it's like, it's not against the rules, that you're enforcing the rules. But we all agree that there's you can let that go. This is a game. Maybe let them play.
Right. We don't call pass interference on a Hail Mary. Yeah. Just like you don't call a foul on the last shot of the game. It's like there's these unwritten rules that everybody's kind of been like, well, you let that decide it. But then when you see those things happen last minute, and again on games that maybe don't matter to people, like Houston versus Memphis or whatever, where nobody's really paying attention, that's where the money is. That. I mean, which it leads to is we got to get that point spread up, so we're going to put Harden on the line a lot. And then in this game, maybe we don't give him those calls, those head fakes that he makes. We're not going to go for it this time. It's very, it's very disheartening. But we love it. We love the game. So we hope the greater thing wins.
Yeah, and sometimes it's blatant. And it's you can't do it, but they have to do it in the biggest games possible, which puts the microscope on them. We all had our suspicions during certain players' games.
Yeah.
That something was amiss here. And I think, everybody's like, these refs are doing it on their own. There's no way that's true. The league is definitely in on it because it's always to the team that has the bigger draw. We know that if this team advances, our finals ratings are going to be worse. And that's...
Yeah, we need this thing to go 6 games. We need this thing for TV rights. What we promised to the stations, what we promised everything else. So when there's that much money involved, there cannot be skullduggery, unfortunately.
Yeah, David Stern's entire commissionership was growing the league into a financial superpower. And you're going to fuck with his money? You're going to fuck with his money?
Especially when he was able to do what he was able to do in the first 10 years.
Yeah.
Well, you've ever really bankrupt. Those get more and more greedy, right? Once they see it happen, they have to put their mitts on it as many ways as possible. Once they realize this is happening, they're like, oh, we need to do this. We need to market here. That's why you see in that Jordan documentary, them like the Dream Team and all of that. That was all about marketing. They didn't really care about the Olympics, but they knew that what it would mean for the NBA if they did it. It would just bring more gravitas.
Yeah, it's like we can't lose to other countries. That means we don't have the best basketball product on earth. How do we sell a second-tier product? We can't let this happen. Therefore, Dream Team. And is David Stern wrong? I don't think so.
No, and I think it brought the best out of the European too, because then you get Doncic, then you get Dirk Nowitzki. You don't get those guys if we don't do Dream Team. So it's amazing, and so it works out in every way. Yeah, it works both ways, definitely.
Yeah. So anyway, that's a tangent. You listen to Whistleblower Podcast.
Please do.
It's so
good. It's really, really good.
Turn this
on
off.
Our first podcast, our first official real podcast. We're going to promote other people's podcasts.
Yeah. Lift them up. That's what the thing is. But yeah, so East Coast, Eastern Conference, it's what it is. Western Conference is fucking mayhem right now.
Right.
I mean, Lakers.
Do the top 4 change? For you, Clippers, Houston. So it would be Houston change. Clippers. Yeah, so Houston goes down. They're not top 4. The Warriors with
we don't know what it's going to be.
Clay injured. Does that bring them down, up? Yeah. How good are they going to be? That's the topsy-turvy. It's like, is there going to be a lot of 4 and 5 seed teams that are really good? I think Blazers.
Yeah. And the Mavericks put in some work filling in their holes.
Yes.
So it's going to be, I think, Lakers at the top, Clippers second, Rockets third, and then not Rockets, goddammit, Mavericks, the other Texas team. Toast to Texas.
Toast to Texas, yes. Texas Houston, yes.
Yeah, so get those guys, and then it's just going to be a battle. I don't know who's going to come out of it. I love Memphis.
San Antonio's always quiet, too. They don't ever do any splashes, but I wouldn't be surprised if they're there. They get some European I don't even know who they drafted, but nobody does until they go out there and wreck everybody. Nobody had Ginobili and Tony Parker killing everybody, and then they just proceeded to win championships. So.
Yeah, I mean, and they made it into the bubble. They weren't one of the teams that didn't come into the bubble. They didn't do particularly well, but the Suns went 8-0 and didn't advance. So
no, exactly, they were too far behind.
It's a weird season. It's the first time they didn't make the playoffs in 23 years, and you're like, oh, I guess they're dead then. That's not you can't just assume that the Spurs are done.
No, you can't.
So
no,
I love the look on your face, stern, you can't.
No, I can stop. No, there's only certain teams you can believe, and I mean, again, as you've been a fan as long as I have, so there's a hierarchy. Like you said, it rarely happens that the Miami Heat, who's the 7th or 6th seed, makes it all the way to the finals. That's insane. But that's what we love about sports. I hope that kind of stuff happens more often. But yeah, you want the best teams to play the best teams, right? Yeah. I mean, that's what you want. And you don't want, it would have been nice to see them play with Dragic and Adebayo all the way through.
That would have been awesome.
But like you said, they took them 6 and they were close games besides the last one.
Yeah. And that's
where
because you don't have it in
literally
you
had
at
a
that point.
spleen.
Yeah, you had nothing left.
They had a video of Butler like walking out of the press conference after he was done, literally like walking like me or you after like moving furniture for 3 hours.
Yeah.
Like he had nothing. His body was just breaking. No matter how much recovery time he had,
you're done.
Like I can't believe it.
You're trying to drag a 6th seed to a championship against the number 1 team in the NBA, against the arguably the
21-year-old is like your second highest scorer. That's not good. Yeah, it's not going great for you because
you take 2. Yeah,
that's you did
madness.
They did take 2
with your starting point guard out. Or no, I guess he was a bench player. Goran eventually moved to the bench during the season, but he was initially the starter that year. And then your center, who had just jumped to the All-NBA status, gets hurt in the series. Like, against a team that is running you on the inside. That's their whole thing.
that's their guy.
And you still win 2. And you still win 2.
And you still win 2, despite that.
And now they're coming back reloaded and with a whole season together. Like,
so you thinking they're top 3 team?
I think
Do you think
they're
number 1?
I think they're top 3 team.
I think Bucks are still there because Giannis has still got 1 more year. They're not going to trade him. I don't know if he'll leave in free agency next year. We'll see. We'll see what they can do off season. They have 1 more season to kind of prove it to him. But I don't think he can still sign the super max next year. So there's nothing advantageous for him to do it this year. He just make his money. We'll see. Yeah, I would say my top 5 are Lakers, Clippers, Bucks, Boston for sure. I would be totally surprised if they don't win it this year. They or at least come out of the East. They should. I don't know if they have enough to deal with the Lakers.
Right.
They would match up with the Clippers, I think, pretty well. That would be
fun.
A really good series to watch. Two forwards versus 2 forwards that can score and play defense. Yeah. I think that would be the greatest matchup. But again, can't go. I'm not going against LeBron.
It's hard.
I'm not. He just goes to unless he gets hurt, he goes to fucking finals, man. Like I don't know how to stop it. Like, he can't.
Inevitable, but not necessarily winning. But like he's going to be there.
Dude, he's going to the final. Yeah, exactly. It's put like he's Tiger Woods. Like even though he doesn't win all the time, he's gonna be there in the end more often than any other. Like, he's gonna be on the leaderboard more often than not. So he's the safest bet.
Yeah, and. So for me, I think we should definitely talk about one more player. Let's make him a beer.
Yes.
We talked about him already. Zion Williamson, entering his second season. He only played 21 games, but his second season, what kind of beer is Zion Williamson? 6'6", 287, small forward, second season, college dynamo, terrible knees, blows out his shoes. It's too big for the package it's in. What?
Yes.
You open it and you're like expecting one thing, but there's so much more in there. You're like,
what equipment can he possibly wear besides football equipment that would dictate, like, allow him to be what he is? God, I would say a hazy IPA. Like the hype is there. You're gonna slurp it up. You want to see him. Like you want to see him because it's just. How can this not work? And then he's just like a physical beast, but you just know it can't last forever, even though there's now a definition for hazy IPA. But yeah, like I like hazy IPA. I think he's great. But yeah, we'll see how long he lasts.
I like your comparison because when you crack the can, you're like, "Ooh, what is that?" Because it smells just it comes out of that glass, out of that can.
Citrusy. Sweet goodness, like it's a nice balance, takes out the cut, but it's a solid beer. It is a solid beer, and it's become in our ethos as one of the top beers, if not the top beer.
Here's what I'm going to call him. I think he's a great player. I think you can build a team around him. I think he's got a big future in here. I don't think he's going to be your number 1 guy. That's what I think. I've been wrong before about this type of player. But like Charles Barkley, he needed to go to the Suns and have Kevin Johnson. He needed a running mate to get over the top. So for me, this is not an insult. I think you go to a place that you know and trust, you know they're going to do good stuff, and you're going to get their second level beer, one that people don't really seek out, but is always there, and it packs a wallop despite not being a particularly big beer. So I'm talking big flavor, big aroma, low ABV. I'm going to call it Drake's Robusto Porter.
Oh, interesting. I know. Didn't we call somebody else a porter? I
Porters
think we called Kevin
forwards.
Garnett or something like that a porter.
Carl Malone.
Athletic power forwards.
Not too flashy, but it gets the job done. Yep.
I like it, yes.
And let's summarize it for new listeners. Basically, centers are stouts, unless, of course, your power forward is a stout. Big, bold, powerful. Power forwards, flashy, or by the book. Tim Duncan is a porter.
Yes.
Sean Kemp is a stout. But they play the same position. Hakeem Olajuwon, a stout. That big tall guy in Space Jam, Sean Bradley. Sean Bradley is a porter.
Yes.
Nothing flashy there.
No, but we talked about, they're interchangeable.
Yeah, they're interchangeable depending on the skill set. But you always have one or the other, like the power forwards of stout or the center is, and then vice versa. It's very rare to have two stouts or two porters. It's happened like Luke Longley and like the Twin Towers when Robinson was hurt. Anyway, Bill Wennington, Bill Purdue, or Will Purdue. That's like, okay, we've got two porters here. What are we doing? But point guards, loggers, you want a good, solid driving engine, solid, well-made, dependable. And
dependable, always there.
And then your superstars, you got your double IPAs, you got triple IPAs, regular IPAs, hazy IPAs, and as we discussed, the Milkshake IPA, the superstar that people can't stand, or ones that people adore for no reason.
Yes.
And then you've got your session IPAs, the guys are regular season performers that can't bring it to you in the playoffs, they can't amplify. And of course, you got your guys who think they're IPAs but are really pale ales. So your Steve Francis's, your Stefan Marbury's. That's kind of, and then there's other styles. There's we get sours, the blending of skill sets. Whatever. But the basic ones,
yeah.
That's the basic how we outline them. People can fit in different holes. That's how NBA works. Magic Johnson is a power forward who plays center and point guard.
And he was a point guard. Yeah, he was like the tallest point guard ever.
So maybe we make him a doppelbock, let's just get nuts. But that's the basic concept of this show. We should have announced earlier, but we didn't.
Sure, but why do that? Yeah.
Why do that? Why not
you guys
just jump
should be
into
listening before. Yeah, go back and listen to the other ones. That's how we do it.
Well, I'll bring them back out. So that's what I'll do. I'll bring them back out so people can be like, oh, okay, I got you. And also, since we're here, if you are listening to this podcast and you want us to compare a player, past, present, or future, to a beer, you let us know. You want us to compare a team to a brewery, you let us know. We'll do it. Name it. 1972 Bucks. Who are you? We'll figure it out. We're those people.
We are. We put our opinions out there like nobody else on internet, even though that everyone.
We will stand by our opinions until we are proven wrong, and then we'll be like, yep, I'm a human being. I learned to grow. Thank you. I've got new experiences. Matt Leinart will always be a trash quarterback, and I called it early, and I call it often. But Phil, I try to keep these episodes to an hour because we're professionals. What do we got going on in the world of Phil Webster, culinary artist?
Oh man, it's COVID cooking. Like that's what we're kind of doing. I'm supporting a lot of my friends who are out there still doing God's work and trying to start pop-ups and stuff like that, especially to help out breweries at this point. Renegade Kitchen is out there. Rude Boy pop-up. They do Jackrabbit out here in West Sac. They do Campus out here in West Sac. Everybody's doing great work. Support your breweries, like we all talk about. That's part of this podcast, is supporting your breweries and going to get cans anytime you can. Go out there and have a couple pints if you can too, if the state where you are, county allows it. And that's what I got going on.
Nice. So where can people follow you to keep up with what you're up to?
Culinary Lando. That's Lando. That's where I'll post most of my food, anything that you can have made at home with, just things to think outside the box. It gets kind of tough here when you're in your stay-at-home orders and stuff like that to kind of get creative without feeling like you're doing a ton of work. So I try to give you ideas to kind of help everybody out. So that's kind of what I got in my world, man.
Yep. And for Barley and me, Ben Rice, you can go ahead and follow that across social media at Barley and Me Pod, doing my chugs for charity, where I chug beers on video and raise funds for local charities, even national charities, worldwide
They're hilarious
charities.
To watch.
They're fun. Hilarious. I've loved them. So anyway, this has been episode 1 of season 2020-2021 of Hoops and Hops. I'm never going to say it that way again. Thank you so much for listening.
Please keep saying it.
Come back
way.
next time. We've got some new teams for you, some new breakdowns, maybe some new segments. Thank you so much for listening.
Yes, it was fun. Thank you so much. Can't wait to do it again, dude.
For Hoops and Hops, I'm Ben Rice.
And I'm Phil Webster.
Reminding you,
please dunk responsibly.